Hey everybody, this is Phil Crone, Executive Officer of the Dallas Builders Association. I'm just posting a follow-up video because we got a lot of response from people about our prior post and some of the media articles that we did about turning the water supply off to your house and how to make sure to try to prevent or mitigate some of the plumbing emergencies that have been occurring for our neighbors all across the area. So here are a few questions that we've been getting, and just thought I'd post a quick video to respond to a few of these. One is, if pipes on outside walls have frozen before, should I drain the water to the house? And here, this is one of those things where, like tonight, for example, it's going to really cool off again and have record cold once more. What you ought to do is at least start dripping the pipes or dripping the faucets, preferably the ones that are on the opposite side of where your water comes in and where your water meter is, perhaps on the back of the house in many cases. If you want to drip 2 or 3, that's great, but those are the priority to make sure that water is escaping at the very end of your system there. One thing that, if you want to really go to extremes and you're really worried about this, is before you go to bed and you're not able to monitor whether those pipes keep dripping, then turn the water supply off, how we showed you in that other video. Open up those faucets, drain out the residual water, and then you can start it up again the next morning or whenever it warms up on your own terms. You know, another one was, please expand more on draining water pipes and how and when to turn it back on. This one, I know a lot of people have asked, like, when's a good time to turn it on and give it a go and see what happened. Perhaps the safest thing is wait maybe until your home has retained power to the point where the temperature has gone up to around whatever you keep it at on a typical winter's day. And then at that point, you go turn the water on at the meter, run the faucets, and see if you have any problems. This is where it's also helpful to have some help in there if you suspect that a certain outside wall that has plumbing, for example, is a place where things might leak or break. That's where it's good to have an observer or somebody to call that out and just be prepared to turn the water off as quick as possible, because again, we're trying to do this on our own terms. Make sure that we're not doing this on nature's terms or on the water's terms, because if you identify where it's broken, you're just going to have a small mess. If you don't and you let it go, then obviously you've seen that on the news and how that goes there. Somebody else had asked about water heaters that are out in the garage and what to do in the case of maybe those freezing. There's an awful lot of water in there. It takes an awful lot of cold to freeze up in that tank. There is a little bit of capacity for water to expand, but I'm from up north and I've seen how water heaters can freeze, and we've had cold like Indiana, where I'm from. I hope we never get this again. So just to answer the question, if you turn off the cold water supply and the gas supply, disconnect the electrical power if it's got electrical power there, what you ought to do is then drain it. You don't have to drain it all the way out, but maybe drain it down. Use a bucket or a hose. If you're going to use a hose and you're draining it out of your house, make sure that you're putting that water somewhere where it's not going to freeze up and create a hazard for somebody perhaps walking on the sidewalk, or you getting down the driveway in the morning the next day in your car. You don't, again, just leave a little bit of room in there for the water to expand if it does freeze, and that seems to be a pretty prudent approach in that situation. All right, another question here. Are we doing the right thing by streaming our faucets to prevent freezing pipes as opposed to just letting them drip? Well, just letting them drip is enough to relieve pressure. That's what we're trying to do, is to prevent everything from backing up in there and starting to freeze, starting to expand, and then starting to damage our plumbing. Running them is not going to help them much more. In fact, if too many people do this, we'll have even larger problems on our hands with the city's water delivery and pressure issues there. So I hope some of these tips helped. I'm not a licensed plumber, nor is anybody on our staff, so any specific issues that you have, how to diagnose and repair those, we're going to need to leave those to the pros. And obviously, there are a lot of videos out there, but I just wanted to respond to a few of the questions that we were getting in hopes that this would be helpful for you. Hope you stay warm. I'm glad we're almost through this, and wish you the absolute best trying to get through this winter freeze and finding a plumber. If you're having any issues with that, go to dallasbuilders.org, search by member, and you'll find members of the Dallas Builders Association who are licensed plumbers in the state. Thank you.